Yes. We are back with another tier list, but today is a little bit different. Stick around, guys. Today we are doing a tier list of how non-MMA athletes would perform if they were professional fighters. So stick around to hear my thoughts. I'm Wyatt. This is Fight Society. All right, guys, before we get into the video, please click that like button, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much. Now, to the video, we are going to start with the S tier. Again, this is non-MMA athletes, how they would perform as professional fighters. So we are going to start out with the S tier. I think the most obvious choice, LeBron James. LeBron, 6'8", 6'9", 270, something like that. Is that not, with his athleticism, is that not like the perfect heavyweight? You drop a little 5 pounds. Don't even have to diet during camp. Just drop a little 5 pounds, go out there at 6'9". Dude, I'm telling you, with actual combat training experience, like for years and years where he'd be a professional fighter, you can't tell me with the explosiveness, the reach, the natural weight, like literally naturally a heavyweight, right at the heavyweight limit almost. You can't tell me that LeBron doesn't absolutely cook Surreal Gone, John Jones, and like Francis, dude. He cooks those people if he has all that combat experience. We're just playing a game of what ifs today. It's a fun game of what ifs. Now, second, we have the star of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Mike Trout, 6'1", 235, thick muscle. Have him cut a little bit of weight, make 205, super explosive. So baseball's already a rotational sport, so he's already got the rotation for kicks and punches. He can do that. I think Mike Trout cooks as a light heavyweight. Then we move on from there. Someone that's very controversial, but also well-known in sports, Aaron Hernandez. Now, not crazy big. He was a tight end. 6'1", 240. But what I'm telling you is the physicality of somebody that could be a professional football player combined with the insane number of loose screws that Aaron Hernandez had. He's kind of like John Jones, 2-division champ, light heavyweight and heavyweight. Aaron Hernandez, S tier. And so, when you have that many loose screws, you're quite literally willing to take someone's life. You might be willing to do it in the cage as well. Moving on from there, our last S tier athlete that I have, Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is 6'5", 207. Some people say he's 190, but we're going to go with this. Okay, 207. Usain Bolt, 6'5", 207. 6'5", cut to middleweight. He's a slightly less bulky Alex Pereira. Quick twitch muscles. He gives Izzy problems, dude. Usain Bolt gives Izzy problems at 185 if he was a fighter. So there's my S tier: LeBron James, Mike Trout, Aaron Hernandez, Usain Bolt. We move on from there to our A tier. What I have here first, Rob Gronkowski. Now, Gronk, I'll tell you why. Big, athletic guy, but he doesn't have the loose screw that his old Patriots teammate Aaron Hernandez had. But you know what he has? He has that Tard strength, you know? Don't think, just do. I think someone could coach him into being a very good fighter at heavyweight. Moving on from there, we have Michael Jordan. The reason I have Michael Jordan as an A tier, not an S tier, I know some people would be like, no, he's better than LeBron. He's this, he's that. In my opinion, Michael Jordan would not transfer over to MMA well because of how poorly his transition to baseball went. He didn't do that well in baseball. I think fighting's harder than baseball. Still an elite level athlete, still one of the greatest athletes of all time. Arguably the most well-known athlete of all time, Michael Jordan, A tier, just because we've seen him transition to another sport before. He played minor league baseball, did not do well. We move on from there. Kobe. Now, Kobe, the reason I have him as an A tier, not an S tier, is that he's not like a physical specimen like a LeBron or a Usain Bolt. He is big. He's 6'6", 205, something like that. Kobe did suffer a lot of injuries in his career, and I think that if he was a fighter, that fragility is something that could affect him as a fighter, spending all this time out of the cage, recovering from stuff. I think that Kobe would be a great fighter from his dedication, athleticism, commitment standpoint, but that his injuries would hold him back would hold back his career slightly in the long run. Then from there, we have two top tier high level athletes that would be in the lighter weight classes. You have Messi and Ronaldo, amazing athletes. super explosive, fast. They'd be in the lighter weight classes, but they do play soccer. Soccer players flop at slide tackles. Okay. I can't even imagine what a slight graze to the cup would mean for one of these guys. So just from a softness standpoint of the sport, really not even specifically them, but of their sport, A tier, not S tier. Moving down from there, we have Tyreek Hill. Now, the reason for that is Tyreek Hill is 5'10", 185, so cut to 170. He's like a Joaquin Buckley type. Stocky, not stocky, but thick build. He's a football player, very fast, one of the fastest players, if not the he might be the fastest player in the league, if I'm not mistaken. 4'2", 40. Crazy. But very fast. He would be a short welterweight like a Joaquin Buckley would, but explosive, fast, very strong, cardio because he's running up and down the field as a receiver all the time. He also has very high testosterone levels, which would aid to him as a fighter. He has 12 kids, and he's had 5 this year, I think. Yes, 12 kids. 5 born this year, and his wife's currently pregnant. That's some test right there, dude. He's cleaning up him against Nursultan Ruzaboyev. He does Ruzaboyev worse than Buckley did. I'm telling you. And then also in the B tier, I have Shohei Ohtani. Now, not an incredibly fast athlete, but throws 97 to 100 miles an hour, hits bombs, fantastic in a rotational sport. That's something that I said about Mike Trout as well. In a very rotational sport like baseball, he's one of the best. So much rotation with kicks, punches, trips, throws, all of that in MMA. It would make him very, very good. He's not like the most explosive, but he's very well-rounded in his game. That makes me think he'd be a very well-rounded MMA fighter. He's 6'4", 210. That makes me think that he would be a 6'4" middleweight. And I think he'd be like an Izzy type. Maybe not as fast as Izzy, but technique, some power because of how rotationally strong he is. I have Shohei Ohtani for different reasons as a B tier athlete. Moving down from there, I have the C tier. We'll start off with Larry Bird. Now, Larry Bird was from an era of basketball that was not so athletic, but he is 6'8", but he is 6'9", 220. That would put him as like a 6'9", 205er if he doesn't want to cut that much weight. So 6'9", 205, or you have him bulk and fight at heavyweight against blobs, but he was so technically good. And I feel like a guy like him could put together a game in MMA that would be like fantastic straight punches, 1s and 2s, front kicks to the body, calf kicks, and tie clinches. With a little jujitsu, he's not athletic at all. But I feel like in a 205 weight class, he could be so technically sound, the way that he was in basketball, that he could compete very well as an unathletic 6'9", 205er. But he is unathletic and slow, so somebody like Alex Pereira chins him, in my opinion. That's why I have him as a C tier. And then right next to him, John Cena. Now, the reason he's all the way down here is because they have him listed at 6'1", 250. So he's probably 5'11", 250. Somebody of that height just gets eaten up at range by a Cyril Gane, by a John Jones, Alexander Volkov. He's also relatively stiff, I think. He's like kind of muscle bound, or at least was. The best opportunity for him would be to cut a lot of weight to 205. In my opinion, I think he gets chinned as a sloppy wrestler at heavyweight, but he is still very explosive and very strong. So I have him on the list. He's not a D tier, but he is a C tier. Now we move on to the D tier. First off, we have Tom Brady. Excellent, cerebral, can read a game plan, can formulate a game plan. Fantastic quarterback. But you've seen him run when he has an opening up the middle where he runs 8 yards and slides. It's very unathletic, in my opinion. He's very tall. Like, he stands and runs very tall. I think he would be very stiff, very slow, and too cerebral. Too much of a thinking man to succeed in fighting. So that has me, even though he's an elite athlete, maybe best quarterback of all time, he's at the bottom. He's a D tier athlete. These are all high-level athletes, but I'm just saying how their athleticism would translate to MMA. Right next to him, for basically the exact same reasons, just a little bit slower, Peyton Manning, and a little bit more unathletic. Peyton Manning. Right next to them, somebody that's very rotationally strong, plays a very rotational sport, golf, long periods of injuries and lack of commitment to the sport. Actually, he's kind of like John Jones in golf, to be honest. So Tiger Woods, right there. I think that he would be not committed enough. I think he'd miss weight because he was partying, or like with some chicks or something. And I think he'd blow out his knee throwing a punch, the same way he's blown out his knee tweaked his back. I know golf is very hard on your body. I know that, but I think he is a very bottom of the barrel potential MMA athlete. Very last, and this is not a current athlete, this very last one that I have right here, one of the most legendary names in sports history, Mr. Babe Ruth, okay? I played baseball growing up. The baseball guys have a little bit of a soft spot for me, but Babe Ruth was a drinking man, a cigarette smoker, kind of chonky, a thick fellow, and he played in a very non-athletic, non-explosive era of pro sports. People have only gotten better as time's gone on. He played in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Let me see. His very last year was 1935. So while he's a legendary athlete, this was not at all an athletic time period. People have gotten more explosive. People have gotten bigger. He'd be a bottom of the barrel MMA fighter. I'm just saying, he's like 6'2", 215. He's probably heavier than that. He'd be like a light heavyweight Shamil Gaziev. So, I mean, he might not even beat like a Josh Parisian, you know, or a Parker Porter. So there we have it, how non-MMA professional athletes would do in professional fighting. S tier, LeBron, Mike Trout, Aaron Hernandez, Usain Bolt. A tier, Gronk, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. B tier, Tyreek Hill, Shohei Ohtani. C tier, Larry Bird, John Cena. D tier, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods, Babe Ruth. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have any other athletes that you think I should have added, who do you think, besides LeBron? I'm very convinced that LeBron is a world champion if he started doing MMA from the start. He's probably the best fighter of all time. I want to know who you guys think would be the best MMA fighter out of all professional athletes that do not compete in pro fighting. Don't include like Le'Veon Bell or somebody that transitioned to fighting after their pro sports career. Who would be a top tier, S tier, or even A tier, but S tier level professional fighter that's from another pro sport? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to click like and subscribe down below, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. If you're interested in supporting the channel further and want access to members only perks, become a channel member today for access to members only live streams and some other perks. Link is in the description down below, or just click the join button on our channel homepage. If you're looking for some non-MMA content from me, go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. I'll have that linked in the description down below as well. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.